So, Deanna, tell us, what was your inspiration for the Laredo Actors Guild?
Can you guys hear me?
Maybe off.
All right. Well, again, I just want to say thanks everyone for coming tonight. It's kind of a funny story the way that Cesar and I met. He approached me about the film, Maker Unknown, and I read the script. I loved it, and we started talking. I said, he didn't realize that I had actually grown up in Laredo, and even though I've been in Austin, Texas for quite some time now, I was here about a month ago, and I was having dinner with my sister and my niece back there that's waiting, Karen, and another one of my best friends, Adrian Arce, who has a daughter who's also very interested in pursuing the arts and working as an actress.
Oh, is she here?
She should be here, but she's going to be doing an interview for us tomorrow for the Sunday News. And I thought, well, it's just a shame that there's all these young, talented women that I know and talented children who don't really have a space to just pursue their dreams and just, I think it's really important to know that there's so much that you can do with the arts, and that it's okay to pursue your dreams and to be creative and to be a writer and be a director and be a movie maker and be an artist, and there's many different ways of going about that. And so that kind of planted the seed in my head, about a month ago, just thinking, wow, there's really not any acting coaches in town. There's really not a whole lot of workshops or anything like that. And so that's something I've been thinking about. And then when you and I spoke over the phone, I thought, well, I couldn't believe that we hadn't met before, just because, even though I live in Austin, it's still, we always joke and say everyone from Laredo knows everyone from Laredo. No matter how, you can always get out of Laredo, but you can't, or how does it go? You can get out of Laredo, but you can't get Laredo out of you, or something. Right, yeah. And I was just really impressed to know that Cesar had been working on this feature film production and was working with so many talented people in my hometown, and we hadn't met, beforehand. And so just talking, and I thought, wow, Laredo really needs a center, really needs a space, just for creativity, and just so, it's really hard. I mean, if you grow up in Austin, Texas, if you grow up and you're in second grade and you're like, Mom, I want to be a dancer, or I want to be a painter or a sculptor, or, I want to make movies, there's a lot more opportunities there. Oh, yeah. But I feel like for me, my experience growing up in Laredo, I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of, nobody really took it seriously. I never really thought that I could work in film and produce and write and all of that and really make a career out of it. So I think that, it's just important to, there is so much talent here on the border, and being from the border really shapes and defines the people that we are and our experiences, and gives us a unique outlook on the rest of life. And we've got a lot of stories to be told. And,
oh, definitely. Yeah.
And so
I see a lot of very talented people in the audience tonight. Some of them.
Sorry, that was a long-winded version of your question.
Some that I'm very proud and happy to have on my team. For those of you that don't know, I am currently making a film called The Maker Unknown. We have a website set up. It's at www.themakerunknown.com, and we resume filming next week, right up. Yeah. Al's also in the movie as well.
Yay!
So, Deanna, you've had a lot of success in the TV and film industry. Could you start off by telling us how was your upbringing? Where you were raised here in Laredo, right?
Yes.
And when did you feel like you wanted to pursue an acting career? Or when did you start, having those ambitions to be an actress?
Life is all one big act. No, I'm just kidding. No, as a young child, I was always putting on. It's really funny. I would boss around my older siblings. Remember, Mom? I would make them do like the reenactment of the birth of Christ, and You know, I was the youngest, but I'd get so mad at my older siblings and my cousins when they would like start laughing and like wouldn't take it seriously. So I think I always knew as a young child, but I never knew actually until I was graduated from college and had been working for a while that I realized that I could actually pursue a career in the arts and take it seriously. When I also lived in San Antonio for a while, but when I went to high school here in Laredo, and I was in theater in high school and in college. But
what school did you go to here in Laredo?
I went to United San Agustin, and I graduated from Alexander. And moved to Austin right away and studied liberal arts at UT and thought I was going to go to law school, actually. And it wasn't until I studied with, and I was very active in theater in college as well, but I didn't really think that, you know, to me it was just a dream. I didn't actually think, oh, this is, you know, you can actually live your life as an artist and work as an artist. It was always just kind of something that I loved to do, but never really had the opportunity to take seriously. And I started studying with a woman named Mona Lee, who owns Bright Light Studios in Austin, Texas, and she played the mother in Dazed and Confused, and she was in Hope Floats, and she's been around for a long time. She's one of her acting studio is really well known, but she was kind of like my mentor, and I took a class with her, and then took a break, and then I took another class with her, and she was like, you know, you're ready, like you need to do my showcase class. And I did her showcase class, and immediately I signed with a talent agency.
Is that the same one you were with now, Tag Talent?
Yes, formerly known as Chow. And my first audition ever was actually for Friday Night Lights. It was a one-liner, and I was such a novice that I wasn't really too nervous for the audition, which is probably how I booked it. It turned into you know, bigger, better stuff, and they asked me back for another episode, and you know, just lots of commercials and small films and big films, and just pretty much, you know.
That's great. We actually do have your acting reel here that we'd like to show everybody, and the sound's not too good. Sorry about that, but if you could walk us through it, you know, kind of tell us. You know, what part you played, and you know, as we go.
Yeah, it's difficult to put together an acting reel as an actor, because a lot of times you work on projects that don't get completed, or they're still in production, or you can't. I mean, I have work that's like you can't get a hold of till after it's left the theater, or you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's always good to do whatever you can with it and just pull together a little bit. So this is just something that a director that I worked for put together for me. It's just acting reels. This is actually a film reel, and should actually be under 2 minutes.
Son of a bitch grabs my ass one more time, I swear I'm gonna kick him in the head.
Excuse me, Hannah.
Amber, did you take my baby oil again?
Sometimes I feel sad. Do you ever feel sad? Yes. Well, you know what I do when I feel sad? What? I like to sing a song. You want to sing a song with me? Yeah. All right, let's get started.
Thank you.
Katara.
Thank you.
Oh! Oh!
Oh my god, there's blood.
Somebody call 911.
And that's just the first part.
What'll be this time, sweetheart? Book bitch, this is Jessie.
How may I help you smash patriarchy today?
No estamos corriendo de un lugar.
One Stanley Kubrick box set.
Estamos corriendo a un lugar nuevo.
One Watchmen graphic novel.
Un lugar para nosotros.
And the $237 I borrowed from you last March. Think we're square.
I do have the power to bring these so-called superheroes down to our level.
I used to think it was a feminist endeavor, you know, a bold expression of my female sexuality. Love? It's just a chemical reaction.
Girls aren't supposed to talk like that.
I'm a geek.
¿De mi hermano? No sé.
espacios tan analizar, en los cuales tanto no hice usar.
No debes de fumar tanto. Hace tus dientes amarillos.
That's good advice. Tell us a little bit about the jobs you've done, the different television shows and the different films that you've been able to acquire. Besides Friday Night Lights, that's a show that was on TNT, right?
NBC.
NBC.
That was on NBC. I worked on the first season, but you know, just with any, I think with any career, you know, acting, writing, filmmaking, there's a lot of, you know, it's a labor of love, and there's a lot of work that you have to do for free, I think, even in the beginning, you know, and just, you know, you get to a point where you have to pick and choose what you want to work on, but a lot of times you're driven by the story. A lot of times you're driven by you want to get your name out there, you want to get as much experience as possible. Austin's a great town for that because there's a lot of, you know, young filmmakers who are willing to work with unexperienced actors or actors with a little bit of experience. And so, I mean, I've done some really minute, low, absolutely no budget films, and I've worked on big budget film, which was shot in Houston last year with Chris Evans. You guys probably saw it at the movie, at Puncture. It was out at the movies, and I was really happy to be able to just, you know, just a small supporting role,
but all those little other jobs that you said they're, you know, little menial, low budget film jobs, those all still mean something because you're actually trying to build up your resume. You're actually trying to build up your demo reel and stuff like that to get your name out there, to get more exposure. I know that, you know, one of the greatest things that I felt so happy about was that when I got cast for Dallas, they actually, they actually saw, I didn't even have to audition. They saw the work that I had done. So in the beginning, you're going to have to take, you know, jobs that might not be paying or, you know, little small roles, but it's all, you know, in essence good so that you can build up your resume and you can get your name out there and get more familiar with people in studios and casting agents and stuff like that. So that brought you to this last movie, which was Puncture, right, with Chris Evans, Captain America. How was it working on that film?
It's a great story, you know, and it always feels really good to work with a script that you believe in. It's based on a Houston attorney, and, you know, the classic anti-hero who's too smart for his own good. He's actually an absolutely brilliant attorney, but, you know, he was addicted to drugs. However, he was able to, you know, it's a case about a nurse who got infected with HIV in hospitals before we were using retractable needles, and I'm sure you guys have heard about it. It's a really famous case, and, you know, oddly enough, he is a Houston attorney. But yeah, you know, I mean, but when you're first starting out, you may not always, you know, some scripts are better than others, but it's always definitely good to get out there and work on what you can. And just keep working, you know, just keep working, and
definitely. What was the name of the
definitely gives you experience, you know, whether you're working on a low budget film or a film with a lot of budget, you know, you're still getting experience.
What was the name of your character on Puncture?
Oh gosh, Tiffany.
Tiffany?
Yeah, Tiffany, I believe. Yeah, Tiffany.
And how was this the first major film you've done for like a major studio? Or had you done some other work?
I worked on a film in Austin for Texas Avenue Films with Tim McCanley's called The Two Bobs. So that was probably the first like real well-known director that I had worked with. And so...
Did you notice a difference working on these smaller jobs, smaller short films, than working on this big production? How was the experience, different from working on those little short films than working on a major film like Puncture?
Well, it's always nice when you have your own trailer. That never gets old. Right. Star.
And craft services is amazing, right?
Yeah, but...
I got so excited when they did my hair and makeup, and I was just like sitting in the chair next to Leonore Varela, and I was just like totally starstruck. So I could just imagine, working on a big production, a big set, it's a lot different than working on smaller films like The Maker Unknown. I
think that people don't realize how, it takes an army to really make a film. I mean, you can definitely, I mean, in today's day and age, you can actually shoot a film on your iPhone, or I have a little HD vloggy Sony that I use a lot to shoot for our music show. And so the technology has gotten so much more accessible that any one of us can be filmmakers at any given time, but I've also worked, I've done other things besides acting, like I worked in casting and on the set of Will. I think they changed the name of that, but that was also shot in Austin. I was working for Beth Sepko and doing some wrangling for extras, and we had about 500 extras on set in one day. And it's just, I don't know that people realize how much goes into like a lot of these big film productions and how many people it actually takes to kind of, I mean, I had no idea until I started working on it. It's like I used to hate commercials and always just zoom past them. But now that I work in commercials, I'm fascinated by them because I'm just like, people have no idea. There was probably 100, if it's a national commercial, there was probably 150 people that auditioned for that role. And there's like 30 people making the decision of who's going to get cast. And, you got the ad agency, and you've got production company, and you've got the casting director and the director and everyone. And I don't know, it's just nothing like show business, I guess.
Now, you said you were working as a casting director. Were you actually auditioning people and making decisions as far as who was going to be in the film or not?
I did the casting for a short film that I produced and co-directed about 2 years ago. But other than that, I've also, when you work in film, you really have to wear many different hats. And I think it's always good to know, I think a lot of really great actors move beyond just being in front of the camera. Eventually they want to write and they want to produce and direct and everything else. And so there's so many different aspects behind, a great film or a great TV production or a commercial or anything like that. And so, and you want to work, and so for me, I've done it all. I've done hair and makeup, I've done script supervising, I've assisted directed, I've worked for most all the casting directors in Austin. And a lot of that is like being bilingual and being able to speak Spanish is a huge plus, I have a couple casting directors that call me when they have a big commercial to cast or they have, a big role and they need someone to read with the actors that speak Spanish. And so it's definitely interesting being on both sides of the camera. But I think that just like any industry, the more you know about one field, the better you are. And I think ultimately the goal for a lot of actors is to, a lot of great actors go on to write and produce and direct.
Right, yeah, definitely.
And especially, for us Latinos and women in particular, there aren't a lot of roles for women, for every script that I read, for every part there is for a female, there's about 7 parts for a guy. And I always joke, because I say, I always play strippers and nurses. It's true. It's, there's the vixen and the virgin, and that's pretty common. But, I would like to see a lot more women and Latina women writing and producing and directing. And so, it gets to a point where if those roles aren't there for you, you have to create them for yourself.
Definitely.
And so that's kind of where I see the future, and that's what I think is really important for establishing the Laredo Actors Guild as well, is just to inspire people in Austin or people in Laredo who want to write and create and produce, to tell their own stories, because nobody can tell your story. There's a lot of movies being produced right now, a lot of TV shows about the border and this and that. But nobody can tell the story that's ours. Nobody can tell it as well as we can. So
definitely, yes, yeah. That's one of my inspirations also, is to help, because I'm really proud to be from Laredo, and I've seen so many talented people in Laredo, and I just think that everybody does have a story to tell. Everybody has their own mind of what they would want a film to be, and how they would want to act it and stuff. And it's very kind of disappointing that they don't go out and pursue their dreams, or don't find the resources that they need. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do, was to provide anybody that needs help with finding those resources, getting your story told, getting whatever it is that you need, whether it means brushing up your resume or picking out what type of monologue to do for an audition. That's something that I think would be one of the greatest things about the Laredo Actor Guild, that we would try to do for the Laredo people. Is there anybody that you feel has been a true inspiration in your acting career? Somebody that you've tried to model yourself over, or major influences? Meryl Streep.
it's pretty incredible. I mean, there's so many, and there's so many great actors out. I mean, I love Catalina Moreno, Chloe Savigny, Salma Hayek. I mean, with Frida, come on, that was definitely very influential for me. But I would have to say most of my inspiration has come from my acting coaches and, my family and my friends, and just the need to be creative, just the need to, I love to tell stories, and I just want to be a part of telling really good stories. My acting coach that I talked about earlier, Mona Lee, she's kind of been, a mentor to me. And I can remember a couple of quotes being in class with her that just really stuck with me. Yeah, I was in class one day, and she's kind of known around town as the tough love coach, because she's been around and she's worked on, she's been on every Richard Linklater film. And she was just on Drop Dead Gorgeous, and she was on Friday Night Lights, and she was also on that other show that was shooting in Austin. What was it called? Was
she in the movie, or she was as a casting director?
No, she's an actress.
Oh, she's an actress?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, she's a little older. She's been around for a long time, and she's done a ton of work. But we were in acting class, and, we were all kind of going through our scenes, and there was one girl in class who just wasn't prepared. She just didn't take the time to prepare for class, which, happens to all of us sometimes. But in this case in particular, girl was kind of coming up with excuses. And Mona just said, it's real simple. She's like, it's real simple. Do you feel the need to be creative? Like, do you feel the need to be creative? And she kind of went around the room and was like, do you feel the need to be creative? Do you feel the need to be creative? She said, do you want to wake up one day when you're 50, when you're 60, or when you're 40, or when you're 70? Do you want to wake up and be like, damn, I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a director, or whatever it was. But for some reason, that quote, that day, her saying that just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. And I thought, my God, no, I don't want to wake up when I'm 50 and be like, why didn't I pursue my dreams? Why didn't I do what I wanted to do? Why was I afraid? Why couldn't I find the avenues on my own to pursue these dreams? So I would have to say that was probably one of my most inspirational moments.
That definitely sounds inspirational to me.
I hope that wasn't lame.
No. Is there anything that you would like to say to anybody from Laredo that is considering trying to do this kind of work? What types of tips or advice could you give them? Don't give up.
I think that eventually, there's so much talent in Laredo. There's so many talented people here. You know, there really are so many talented, you know, when it comes to everything. But when it comes to people who would want to work in film, I'm sure, I don't feel like there's enough, there aren't enough avenues for that here in Laredo. So I would say, I mean, just continue practicing your craft. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to get the Laredo Actors Guild started, is so that we can start bringing some workshops into town and bringing some casting directors and some real acting coaches. Because, you know, it's one thing to say that you want to be an actor, but you know what? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work like any other job. You know, I mean, when you're auditioning, I mean, sometimes I'm auditioning like 5 times a week. It's like going on a job interview. You know, it's nervous, it's stressful, you have to prepare, you have to do your homework. It's not all glamorous. I mean, I think if you're in it for the glam, then you're probably in the wrong business. Because there's a lot of, you know, a lot of rejection. You got to work really hard. You know, just stay true to yourself and find a really good acting coach that you can work with. And you know, if you're not in class once a week, if you're not studying, if you're not working, acting is like, it's like tuning a fine instrument. You know, you have to keep working on it. You have to stay on top of it. I mean, if I'm out of class for a month, I recently started studying Meisner technique with Laurel Smith Bouvray in Austin, and it's just been, I mean, I thought I'd been studying with Mona, and I've studied with most acting coaches in Austin, and I've done a bunch of workshops. But learning Meisner was like a whole other ballgame for me. I mean, it's like starting all over, you know. And I was out of class in December, and just coming back, I mean, even though I've been studying with her for 1.5 years now, I mean, just being out of class for a month, you just kind of, you feel it, you know, you've got to get back on track. And so it's just, it's a craft that you have to keep working, and you have to keep tuning and feeding and nurturing. And it's just like any other job, you know? I mean, maybe it's a little funner than some jobs, but you still got to work as hard.
It is a lot of fun. The Meisner technique that she's talking about was developed by a man named Sanford Meisner, and it's one of the highest regarded acting techniques there are, and a lot of people practice it and use that as their basis. It's really, how would you say has been your experience using the Meisner technique? There's a lot of true emotion, a lot of give and take, back and forth.
It's all about telling the truth and reading behavior. Just reading behavior. I heard an incredible interview on Fresh Air, an NPR, a couple weeks ago by the guy. He was on Walking Dead, and I guess now he's on Justice. Do you guys know? Timothy Elephant?
Oh, yeah.
Timothy Elephant. And he was talking about Meisner. He didn't say he was talking about Meisner, but that's what he was talking about. And he said, you know, if I've gone through many takes and I leave the room and I remember everything that I did, I know I haven't done a good job. But if I can remember everything the other actor did, then I know I'm spot on. You know? And so it's just about telling the truth, and you know, it's all about the other person.
Definitely.
So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it's a little.
These are some of the techniques that we want to bring to the Laredo Actors Guild and to the workshops, to, you know, so that people can get a feel for the different types of variation of techniques there are. Also, we also want to learn from each other as a group, and you know, and perfect our craft that way as well.